people have enormous trouble in expressing themselves simply, objectively, and straight to the point. I personally think that things should be said as they are, although whether or not that's possible is a discussion for later. I think so because language is deeply connected to how people perceive reality. But words are not reality, and reality is not made of words. Nevertheless, when words change, the perception of human reality changes. We're fascinated with words. Ever since we're kids and start learning words, we're constantly obsessed over using the right word for the right thing. When a young kid who is a male and identifies himself as a boy gets called the wrong word, gets called a girl, for instance, his reaction is intense. It's very easy to mess with kids by calling them something they're not, and they get so angry about that. This happens because their reality is extremely attached to words and language, more so than adults, since as we grow up, we eventually realize that if someone calls you a fish, that doesn't make you a fish. But you see, this isn't very clear for us either. It gets better, but the problem is still there. If a girl gets told she's ugly, for example, she might get sad, in a way reacting like a boy who's called a girl, and letting the word she's called determine her reality and how she feels. Language shapes our reality, and language is used by people who know that as a way to deceive other people, to shape reality in a way that suits them best. Words are magic. When a magician deceives you, he does so with the use of words. Trust me, I know. And in just the same way, a lawyer, a doctor, and engineers do the same. Politicians do the same. And a bunch of know-nothing people do the same. They all use words to deceive you, but you see, only the magician does it with the intention of entertaining. The others have different reasons for doing magic with their words. And what are their reasons? You see, you can make anything good or bad, even complex or simple, just by changing words. Anything can be incredible or incredibly bad by changing the way you talk about it, the words you use to describe it. When a lawyer offers you his services, he offers you to
personally construct the instrument without which it's impossible for you to have legal repair. Doing so with a clear and logical exposition of the facts and rights applied to your own individual case.
He doesn't say he's going to basically write a letter to the judge telling what happened and what should be done because of what happened. Or when you take your car to the shop to get a repair and the guy starts with all this mumbo jumbo and technicalities, and instead of saying he will clean the engine, he tells you,
what we're going to do is a process of splitting and pretty much reducing the engine to its key components. Once we do that, we're going to meticulously make sure there are no powder of tiny particles because this can damage the internal systems, which is what I believe is happening. And once we reassemble everything, we'll reconnect the engine to the rest of the mechanical body of the car and it should be good to go.
You can do that right now. Just choose any simple task such as lighting up a cigarette or putting coffee into a cup, and make it as complex as you can in words. Words can hide and change the truth very easily. Don't let yourself be deceived by words, and don't use them to deceive. Look for simple, straight, and easy to understand words and terms, and watch out with whom doesn't. Obviously, there's always a time and a place for discussions involving technical words, words that are specific to a field which should only be understood by people who study such field. And that's perfect. But overall, simple and easy is the way to go. Beware of your own words and how other people are using words as well. Be aware of how language changes and ask yourself why it changes as it does.